Welcome back, everyone, to our Trust 101 series where we're walking through the journey of trust administration and what a trustee does after someone passes away. I'm your host, as always, Gary Winter. And in today's video, this is our second video in Module 3. So just a quick recap, first series, the first module of videos has some basics about wills and trusts. The second module series has some basics about just getting started as a trustee, getting installed, and some first steps as a trustee. And then in this module 3, we're taking a little bit of a deeper dive on collecting assets. Collection of assets is really the first mandate for our trustees once you take over as a trustee and you're trying to marshal the assets into the name of the trust. And so it's kind of like, herding cattle. You're trying to get all the cows into the corral, and think of, each different asset has different characteristics, and we're trying to get them all under the trustee's banner if they're appropriately belong there. So in our first video of this series, we looked at personal property that has title, had a pink slip, and some exceptions as to when maybe that wouldn't go to a trust. And in this second video in the Module 3 series, we're going to look at personal property that doesn't have title. This is a little bit simpler, but there are a couple of situations that can come up dealing with personal property. So without further delay, I'll dive right in here. First of all, let's just make sure we all understand what personal property is. It's movable stuff. Things like furniture, clothing, jewelry, vehicles, trailers, farm implements, and that sort of thing. So a lot of those items, if they're big, expensive art or jewelry or vehicles, they're going to have a pink slip. They'll have something that shows evidence of title. Now, there's a lot of them that don't. Your coffee maker, your table, your chairs, most people's jewelry don't have any kind of statement of title, or their collections, their coin collections and things like that, right, are all personal property items that don't have title. Going back to when people create a trust, one of the documents that is created at that time is something called a general assignment. And a general assignment is the trustee's intention that they're just kind of putting the world on notice that I've created this trust and I would like to transfer and assign and set over all of my property, wherever situated, real or personal, into this trust. And so a lot of times people ask us, well, is my table, is my dining room table and my chairs, is that in the trust? Yes, it is, because when the trustee created the trust, they have a general assignment that funds and transfers all their personal property. It's kind of a catch-all document into the trust. And so that's the premise that we're working with, is that these should be trust assets already. However, there are some exceptions. The exceptions to trust funding for personal property items are, first of all, if you have a personal property memorandum that distributes it another way, or if there's a specific gift in the will. And a third exception we're going to talk about some more is a specific kind of personal property that people don't usually think of, and that's lawsuits that are ongoing when the person passed away. So let me do a quick review of the first two exceptions, because we talked about them in the previous video. But the first exception is a personal property memorandum, and that allows somebody to make a list of small personal property items that are not too expensive, less than $5,000, and they can dedicate and distribute those personal property items to whoever they want. And so as a trustee, you may have a table or a coin collection or something that's actually funded to the trust with this general assignment, but the person who created the trust also has a personal property memorandum and they want that coin collection to go to a certain person. So first rule of thumb, check your personal property memorandum. They're not required to have one, but if they do, you need to look at it and make sure that they didn't want some specific item to go to some specific person. Same thing really with the will. The will, you can write in a provision that gives a specific item of property to a specific person, called a specific gift. And so you need to check the will and make sure that these property items that you're taking possession of are not distributed through the will in a specific gift format. The third thing that we've seen come up that's not obvious, and hopefully it's not the case for your trust administration of your trust, but sometimes people pass away and they are parties to a lawsuit. they are a plaintiff or a defendant and they're involved in a legal case of some kind. It could be maybe that they were pursuing a trust or estate claim that they should be inheriting from. It could be that they were in the middle of a divorce proceeding that wasn't finalized and they died. In those situations, that lawsuit is a form of personal property that can't be funded to the trust during their lifetime. And so that is another situation where you've got to get a hold of those items, and there's a specific way to do that to get appointed as a legal representative for somebody who's passed away. And we're going to talk about that more in one of our future videos in this series. But to sort of wrap up this personal property topic, both with title and without title, just remember, make sure you take possession of that stuff quickly. Make sure it's insured, get it into a storage unit, take pictures of it, do whatever you can, because it has a tendency to walk away from everything from neighbors to people that feel like they're entitled to certain items. And you have a duty to preserve and protect and maintain the trust property. So part of fulfilling that duty is getting a hold of those things and making sure that you know what you have and what you're responsible for, and you're going to be accountable for it afterwards. So those are all the notes that I had on personal property items. I hope that was helpful in understanding what and how you can deal with personal property that has title or doesn't have evidence of title. And with our upcoming videos, we're going to talk about bank accounts and after-tax investments. So I look forward to seeing you on a future video.